How does ESC use PWM to control motor speed? Imagine you're playing with a remote control car or drone, and you want it to go faster or slower. Have you ever wondered how that tiny device inside, called the electronic speed controller, makes that happen? Well, it all comes down to a clever trick called Pulse Width Modulation, or PWM for short. PWM is a way to control how much power gets to the motor without physically changing the voltage. Instead, it switches the power on and off really fast, thousands of times each second. The key is the duty cycle, which is how long the power stays on compared to how long it stays off during each cycle. If the duty cycle is high, meaning the power is on most of the time, the motor gets more voltage and spins faster. If the duty cycle is low, the motor gets less power and slows down. Here's how it works step by step. First, the RC receiver sends a throttle command to the ESC. This command is a PWM signal itself, with a pulse width usually between 1 millisecond and 2 milliseconds, repeating about 50 times per second. The longer the pulse, the more throttle you are giving. Inside the ESC, a tiny microcontroller reads this signal and decides how much power to send to the motor. It then creates its own PWM signal, adjusting the duty cycle based on your throttle input. The ESC uses special transistors called MOSFETs to switch the power on and off at high speed, following the PWM signal. These switches happen thousands of times each second, making the motor respond quickly and smoothly. Because the motor only receives power in pulses, the average voltage it experiences depends on the duty cycle. When the duty cycle is high, the motor gets a higher average voltage, making it spin faster. When it's low, the average voltage drops and the motor slows down. This rapid switching allows for very fine control of the motor speed without wasting energy. If the ESC just reduced voltage with resistors, it would waste a lot of energy as heat, but PWM avoids that by switching on and off rapidly. Modern ESCs also keep an eye on the motor's current and temperature to prevent damage. Some have features like braking or reversing, all controlled through the same PWM signals. This system makes RC vehicles very responsive and efficient, giving you smooth acceleration and precise control. The faster the ESC can switch power pulses, the better the motor responds, and that's why PWM is such a vital part of how RC power systems work. So next time you hit the throttle, remember that tiny microcontroller and those quick switches are working together to make your RC toy go just the way you want.